Welcome to Consistent and Confident. I'm Sarah, and I'm really excited to share this workout with you today. Before I get into it, I just want to give you some context and share a little bit about myself, where this workout comes from, and why I'm sharing it with you. I have been strength training and weightlifting since 2021, and that journey has not come without a fair amount of difficulty. Some of those difficulties include disc degeneration in my low back. So if you're familiar with the vertebrae of the spine, I have degeneration from my L3 down to my S2. I had my hip replaced last year, but prior to that, I was living my life in chronic pain, and I had been living my life in chronic pain since I was about 21 years old when I was diagnosed with arthritis in one of my hips. And in conjunction with all of that, I am also a hypermobile individual. If you're not familiar with hypermobility, you may know it as double jointedness. Hypermobility makes it very difficult to know where your end range motion should be when it comes to strength training. Even with those challenges, I have been really happy with what consistently weight training has brought to my life and the confidence that it's built for me. I used to live my life in chronic pain, and I'm really happy to say that that is a thing of the past. I had my hip replaced last November, and so I have been on a journey of recovering and healing from that. The workout I'm sharing with you today has been really essential to my recovery after my surgery. This workout has really improved the overall functionality of my lower body, and most recently I had an appendectomy, and what I'm sharing with you are the clips from my first 2 leg days after that appendectomy. I'm really proud to say that this was a really great workout to come back to, and there's a lot of stability components to this, so I'm not lifting very heavy. However, these movements are very fundamental and foundational to lower body health and function, and performing this workout regularly has enabled me to return to heavier lifting. The workout you're going to see here is one of 3 leg days that I complete on a weekly basis. My other leg days are very low volume but much heavier weight. Consistently performing this workout has given me a lot of confidence when it comes to those heavier lifts. And when I have found that I need a deload week or I need to back off, I have found that this leg day does a very efficient job of hitting all of my lower body, but without taxing my body too much. As a quick note, there are 2 exercises that I add on to this workout that are not included here. After this sequence, I go on to do leg extensions and seated calf raises. The reason why I decided to share this workout and start this channel is because I am proud of the confidence that I have, body and mind. I'm very thankful for what weight training has done to provide that confidence and what being consistent has done in providing that confidence. And I'm really passionate about helping people on their journey of finding and owning their own confidence. On this channel, I'm going to share bits of my journey and a lot of what I learned to help me feel so confident and stay consistent. I really want to help other people feel confident in their bodies and in their minds. And I'm currently studying to become a certified personal trainer. And I'm excited for the information that I'm going to learn there because I know it's going to help me help more people. I truly hope you find this video helpful and that you give this workout a try. If you're a beginner, I think it's a really great workout to start off with. I think that strengthening the stabilizer muscles involved in single leg movements has a profound impact on our overall quality of movement. I also think this workout lays a great foundation for glute growth. I really think if you can feel strong in this workout, then chances are you're going to have a lot of confidence when it comes to any other kind of lower body training. I really hope there's at least one thing in here that will be helpful for you. If you have any questions or I don't explain something very clearly, please leave a comment below. If you are somebody that is struggling with hip arthritis, disc degeneration in the low back, or hypermobility, I'd also love to hear from you in the comments. I'm still learning quite a bit about what it means to live in a hypermobile body, even though I've been living in one for 34 years now. And I'm always curious to see how other folks that have this are adjusting. All right, let's go ahead and get into this workout. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in the next video. In this first warm-up, I'm relieving tight hamstrings and waking up my hinge movement. These are similar to ground sweeps, but I'm reaching each hand to the opposite foot. Our arms provide balance when we move forward, and I'm emphasizing that relationship with this reach because I'm going to perform multiple movements that challenge my balance and stability. This rotation also helps warm up the spine. I do these the entire length of this room and back, mostly because I tend to have pretty tight hamstrings. It's absolutely an option to do these in place. Just be sure that you're doing the same amount of repetitions per side. Next, I'm going to wake up my hip flexors and core. Functional lower body movements require the proper engagement of both. So here I engage both by bringing my knee to my core, wrapping my fingers around my knee, and in a brief hold, I am pulling my knee into my core while simultaneously bracing my core muscles and pushing my knee against the resistance. Here again, I'm going to do these the entire length of the room and back. Next, I have pelvic drops or a modified pelvic drop. This is going to prepare me for the pelvic stabilization that I'm going to need for the single leg movements ahead. For this movement, I'm going to bring one leg off the ground behind me, and before I begin to move, I'm going to ensure my core is engaged and keeping me balanced and my hips are level with one another. At that point, I'm going to slowly lower my lifted foot to the floor and back to the level position. I'm not actually going to use my foot to touch the floor. During this movement, I'm trying to keep my core engaged and my plant leg straight. The movement here should be coming from my pelvis and not from a shift in my planted leg. I'm going to focus on maintaining an upright posture and avoid any twisting or bending. When you see me lose my balance, that's likely a lack of core engagement in that moment. These can be very tricky for somebody that has hypermobility or somebody that has some low back issues. Keep it slow and controlled and understand that not every rep is going to be perfect. You're going to notice some twisting and a little bit of tilting on one of my sides here. I'm going to perform 3 sets of 10 per leg, and I'm going to do a deep assisted squat in between my sets. I'm really happy with the reps that I just saw. The funny thing is, those are on my operated hip. These reps on my natural hip are far from perfect. You'll see a little bit of tilting coming from my leg area. It's not fully in the hip the way I want it to be. These are a work in progress. That's why I will continue to practice them. As a long femored lifter, I do these assisted squats to help me with ankle mobility, which is really important in lunge movements and squat movements. When you see me shift from side to side, I'm encouraging my knees to move over my toes to help improve my lack of mobility. If you are able to sit in a deep squat without assistance, I would just incorporate a couple of those deep squats at some point during your warm-up. Last dynamic stretch here. If I had the mobility to perform a classic squat, I would. This is how a long femored girl with limited ankle mobility turns a Cossack squat into an adductor stretch. I'm just doing a quick little set of these about 5 to 6 times per side. And now I'm ready to add some resistance. There's two options I alternate between for this workout. The first option are banded lateral steps. For maximum glute activation, I have the band placed around my ankles. If this is too intense, the band can be moved up above the knees. I'm focused on keeping my feet straight and my core engaged. I also want to ensure that there's constant tension in the band. If I choose this option, I'll perform 2 sets down the length of this room and back. The other option I call banded clocks. I prefer this option because it has me moving in multiple planes of movement. I'm going to step out 6 times per leg, and I'm stepping directly in front of me, to the front diagonal, directly to the side, the back diagonal, and directly back. I will perform 4 sets of these, and I do not recommend doubling up on the band exercises here. I follow up this workout with doing a hip thrust workout the next day. I will record that and I will share with you a third band option that accomplishes the same goal. Next are reverse lunges. I recommend alternating bodyweight lunges like you see here if you're a beginner. The goal here is 8 to 10 reps per side and 3 sets per side. You'll notice that my movement pattern is different on each side here. On one side, my leg goes directly back, and on my other side, my leg goes off to the side a little bit. That movement pattern is occurring on my operated side. This is why unilateral training is so important, so that imbalanced movement patterns like that can be improved upon. If these are too wobbly, you can perform them one leg at a time and use some assistance if needed. When I restarted training after my hip replacement, I did perform these one leg at a time, and I had something on the side of my front leg in case I lost balance. At that point in time, I also had significantly less range of motion, and that has increased with consistent practice. During this movement, I'm breathing in as I lunge back, and I'm exhaling on my way up. To help me stay balanced, I drive through my big toe on my way up. To help with muscle-mind connection, I imagine that a force is pulling me back by my working hip and then pushing me back into the right position from behind. Performing these lunges one leg at a time increases the time under tension, which makes these more effective for strength development. An increase in time under tension is also an increase of intensity. Since these are my first 2 leg days returning from my appendectomy, choosing lighter weight dumbbells and performing these alternating was a more appropriate choice for me. Just a reminder, it is very normal for your knee to travel over your ankle or your toes in movements like these, but it should be traveling in a straight line over your ankle. You'll see on one side, the same side where my lunges are a little bit wonky, my knee is traveling off to the side a little bit. On a couple of these sets, I didn't quite hit 8 reps per leg, and that's another reason why I like returning to alternating reps, because I know that I just have to end on the leg that I didn't start with, and I can focus more on my movement instead of counting. When it comes to unilateral training or training one side of your body at a time, it is important from week to week that the side I start on changes. Starting on the same side week to week can just lead to a further muscle imbalance. Next up are sumo squats, 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. I like sumo squats for a few reasons. For me personally, they're great since I have disc issues and I have a hip that I've been working on, as well as really long femurs. That makes me pretty squat challenged having those difficulties, so these are a really great option and a really great place for me to start. I also like these from a functionality perspective. I think a front-loaded squat translates better to practical movement. If I'm squatting with heavy weight outside of the gym, typically that weight is in front of me and not loaded on my back. To avoid injury to your low back and to avoid rounding your low back, it is important to hold that weight in front of you with a proud chest. So we want to make sure that we are using our chest and our upper body muscles to carry that weight, and that will help keep the spine in a neutral position. I have recently started sumo deadlifting, and I'm finding that my stance for a sumo squat is a little bit more narrow than it is for a sumo deadlift. A deadlift is about hip hinge, and a squat is more about hip extension, so I like to find a wide base a little bit wider than my shoulders, where I feel very comfortable and stable in extending my hips back, in a position where I can really feel my glutes and hamstrings catch my movement as I extend my hips back. Last, I have single leg RDLs. I do all 3 versions of RDLs throughout the week. My other 2 leg days include the barbell. Since this is just my lightweight unilateral day, it's the most appropriate time for me to place these into my routine. I recommend 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps per side. I really think 3 sets is a sweet spot for single leg movements. I find that 3 sets is enough to efficiently strengthen and fire my stabilization muscles, and it's not going to take away from my ability to perform my barbell hip thrusts that I have planned for the very next day. This is the very first movement that my physical therapist had me return to after my hip replacement. It took some time for me to find my way back to this movement, and at a later date, I'll release a video that shows the progression that I took to get back to being able to do single leg RDLs. To keep balanced, I once again think about my big toe and think about clawing the floor and gripping the floor with all of my foot. To maintain a proper hinge during this movement and to avoid reaching, I imagine that I am a one-legged foosball player. I think about replicating the stiff posture that a foosball player maintains when it's being hinged back. I also find it helpful to focus more on the movement that's coming from the foot that's lifted from the ground. I imagine that somebody is grabbing that foot and subtly pulling that back, causing me to tip over. If you're an experienced lifter, I recommend adding some kind of free weight for resistance. And if you want a really good pump, I recommend supersetting these with the sumo squats. It is really important to give yourself plenty of rest in between your sets and to take your time with this movement. You'll notice that on some of these reps, I have a little bit of a reach. I was feeling rushed. I wanted to get this filmed before the class came in. And unfortunately, that took a little bit away from my form here. Slow and controlled is really the way to go here. But as a reminder, not every rep is going to be perfect, and that's why consistent practice matters so much. I'm a big believer in the functionality of RDLs and hip thrusts. I've personally experienced how the strength gains from these movements have really kept back pain at bay for me. Before getting my hip replaced, I lost a significant amount of internal rotation in my arthritic hip, and I got to the point where performing squats was no longer feasible. Performing hip thrusts and deadlift variations like RDLs enabled me to still grow and strengthen my glutes even when a squat wasn't an option. Last set here. Before I leave you, I just want to remind you that I typically follow up this sequence with leg extensions and seated calf raises. I like to do 3 sets each, and I like to go just a couple reps shy of failure. If you like this video or found it helpful in any way, I really hope that you would consider hitting that like button and subscribing. I have so much more to share and a deep passion for helping people stay consistent as they grow in their confidence. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel and watching, and until the next video, take care everyone.